Morning, guys. It's Thomas. We're headed down. The Indiana Gold Prospectors Club is headed down to Monroe State Forest this morning. That's where I'm headed, actually. Um, we're going to do a day of prospecting. Weather is not exactly perfect. It is a little rainy, and it's a little on the nippy side. It's been about 60, 65 degrees all week. Of course, this weekend it's about 40 and it's rainy. So I will show you more once I get down there and kind of show you the area of the creek. And we'll see what happens. Hey guys, finally made it to Monroe State Forest. We've met up at the cabin. I'll show you the cabin a little later. We're down at the creek, and I just kind of dropped my pack and just doing some scouting up the creek to see a few places. Plan to come back here maybe a little later on in the year to see what's there. I found a couple decent locations. Now I'm headed back down to my pack, and the other guys, I'll show you them once I get down there also. Talk at you then. Just to look at the creek that I'm kind of scouting. I've passed one area that looks really nice to me. It's got a bunch of glacial teal in it. I'm going to pass another one here shortly. I'll kind of show you it once I get there. And then I'll be headed back towards my pack and my equipment, and we'll start doing a little shoveling. Okay, this is the first spot I came to that I was looking at. There's a bunch of glacial teal that's just kind of piled up in here. So, and a lot of the darker glacial teal rocks. So that means the heavier rocks and stuff are dropping out here. So this is the spot that's going to be on my list, and they're big rocks. They're not small. So I think this will be one place I'll come back to a little later in the year and do some testing in to see what's here. Not for sure. Bedrock should be fairly shallow. There's some down there. So it shouldn't be very far to bedrock, or what's considered bedrock here in this park anyway, which is more of a shale. But I think there's probably, I'd like to just test it out and see. I think there may be some pretty good stuff here. So this is something I'm going to come back and test a little later on. Today is a club outing, so I'm just going to kind of hang around with the club guys, but this is a promising spot for me to come back and check. Coming up on one of the old prospectors. Some of you will know him, others may or may not. What's going on? How's it looking? Okay. Okay. Just did a scouting trip. There was some spots I had marked out on the map I wanted to take a look at up there. Actually looked pretty good. So one of these days I'm gonna have to bring a light pack, just a pan, and go up and do some testing. Okay, back down and get back to my pack and find me a spot. All right, we'll catch up with you later. You too. Don't get it all. Leave some for somebody else. Well, there's another prospector there in the distance. We'll go up and talk with him. So we rich yet? We rich yet?
No, but I got a spot that might do me some good.
Oh yeah?
I got four little colors.
Oh yeah.
There's three there.
Oh yeah, I see three.
Three, and there's another one down in here. So, veg up here.
And I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. What's your name again?
Mark.
Mark. I said Mark earlier too, and I just said, I don't know if that's right though.
You remembered it?
Yeah. I said I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's true his name. I ain't gonna say his name because I don't know if that's right.
Because I don't remember names. I'm terrible about remembering names.
But yeah, okay. I'm gonna head back to my pack and start digging myself. I wanted to do some scouting on a few locations I had picked out on the map.
Yeah.
And I went up to see them, so they look pretty good. I think one day I'll bring a light pack and just go up there. It's a little ways up though, so.
Yeah. But the other choice is park up there and walk down the hill.
Yeah, but I don't know how far that is, and
Brutal.
I'm not coming down this hill. I've tried that once, and that didn't work out at all. So.
I've done it a little further up. There are cliffs,
So
you can get down, but it's still hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
I'm
hard.
sure. But yeah. So I'll just do maybe a day or something. Come in here with a light pack and just walk up there. Just a pan and a trowel or some shovel and
Well,
a little bit of a backpack, and that's about it.
if you find a hot spot, some are pretty good. I'm digging in here because see along this edge, there's a few bigger rocks
Right.
showing up.
Yeah.
And it's packed real tight.
Well,
there.
and you're basically lining, so that means basically your line of dropout is here.
Yeah.
A lot of your bigger rocks are
Yeah.
down that
And
line.
of course,
So
what I noticed when I start to dig it,
yeah.
it's real compacted, stuck together. If I dig it and it's loose,
Yeah. Then it's not. Yeah.
move on.
Yep. Yeah. There's a couple spots that had the places that I had mapped out where there was a lot of glacial teals stacked up. A lot of these rounded rocks stacked up. And
Yeah,
so
this is nice because it's a straight area along the high wall.
yeah.
And those sometimes are pretty good. Of course, you also have to catch one that somebody else has.
Hadn't already got to, right? Yeah. That's why I went further. I mean, this is probably a good from this point maybe a half a mile, maybe. So it's still a good little walk from here. So
All the good places that I've dug in the past are way upstream, and I didn't even come in from down here,
yeah, you just went in from up there.
from up above, because it was too far to walk.
Yeah.
But most all those are, man, everyone and their brother has been back 100 times. Dug them out and dug them out and dug them out.
Right.
Gotta find a new one.
That's really what I'm doing. That's why I'm scouting. That's why I went up scouting. So. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get to it, and let me get back to my stuff and start digging. We'll see you back. Are you going back up to the cabin later? Okay. We'll see you back up there. If I don't see you down here somewhere. All right. Yeah, I'm taking videos. Yeah. So I'll throw it up on. I haven't thrown anything on your guys' site. I kind of let you guys pull it in, because I don't know. I put it on the Indiana Facebook.
Official one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can pull it from there if you don't need to. So I'll put
I look at the one that says official, and I look at the one that says
the central Indiana official. Now we don't use that. We use the Indiana Gold Prospector now. That's our site that the central took over. That's the new name. Is Indiana Gold Prospector.
it doesn't say official on it.
It might say official on it, but to tell you the truth, I'll look it up and see. But I don't. It's not Central Indiana. It used to be Central Indiana Gold Prospector official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say central anymore.
No, it just says Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one I looked at.
So yeah, that's where I normally throw. That's where I threw the last thing. Actually, the cons party.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I threw the video of that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just started. I've been on the web for years, but I was very resistant to going on Facebook.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like managing my own website, control,
Okay.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like people stop looking at websites; they only want to look at Facebook. So
Well, yeah.
time to move on.
Social media sites that's what they use now. That's what everybody uses. So
So
you got to move with them, I guess. Or
see, indieprospector.com is my site.
that's where I saw your picture at. Yes.
Yeah, see, I own that domain name.
Right.
And then I have jump-off points to unfix.
Right. Yes. Because the matter of fact, that's probably one of the first sites I went to look at when I first started this was that site. Because I saw a lot of stuff you had for Gatesville and a few other locations that you guys have been to. And
Yeah, and I haven't posted too much different stuff because I really hadn't been to very much.
right.
And so I really didn't have anything there. And frankly, I would have posted stuff, but nobody ever emailed me anything, even in spite of me asking. So I said, phooey. And I'm paying for that and have been paying on it for years and years.
Uh huh.
I'm seriously considered just shutting
I don't. I don't know. I don't know if many people even know about it. Unless you're doing a Google search on that particular thing, you
Yeah,
probably wouldn't.
if you look for Indiana gold, you can
Right,
find
you'll
it, of
find it.
course.
Right, correct. Yes, but I don't know that people would, do that much anymore.
Yeah. In the good old days, I used to get a lot of interesting hits.
Mhm.
Shit, I had a guy from Stratford-on-Avon, England, was wanting to build a dredge
Oh yeah. Mhm.
for dredging the Avon there,
Mhm.
right in Shakespeare's hometown.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I sent them some dredge plans and all, and they built a dredge based on the plans. I thought that was pretty
That
cool.
is nice. That's neat. Yeah.
And my most unusual email I ever got from anybody, and probably the one furthest away, was from a guy that, first of all, his email to me was in an unusual English.
Mm.
I said, this is really different. It's almost Elizabethan. He called me something Esquire and all.
Oh really?
I
Yeah.
thought, that's kind of different. Turns out he was preparing to do some dredging off of, I think, Ceylon or Sri Lanka, one of the two. Or
Mhm.
was out in that area, the South Indian Ocean.
Mhm.
And he was wanting to dredge sapphires. And so I explained a whole bunch of stuff to him about how dredging works and sent that to him. And about a month later, I read in the paper there was a giant sapphire strike there.
Really.
And I was like, I knew about it before it was news.
That's cool.
So that was kind of fun.
But
And I also had a couple of neat emails from some school of mines out in British Columbia asked me if it'd be okay if they used my site as a reference for the geology department. I'm like, huh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I had a few of those over the years, but that's kind of dropped off now, and it's
I believe it or not, I still hit it every so often. I hit it every once in a while, just because I just do a search and then I
Yeah.
go and I say, let me stop in and see. Because I was interested. You guys had made a trip up to the Wabash, and I could, I'm looking at it. I was hoping to see some names of where on the Wabash,
oh yeah.
and I didn't see any of
Oh
that
man,
stuff.
I
I
was
was like,
like sworn to secrecy by. And do you know Chuck Lassiter?
yeah. Well,
I was
I've met him once, I think.
okay. Well, I was like, some of those were Chuck spots, and I was like sworn to double
Yeah.
secrecy to never tell anybody.
Yeah, I figured as
Yeah.
much though. Yeah.
So, but there's other places up there too that are on the Wabash, which are pretty much common knowledge now. And I don't know if too many people go to like where the bunch of us all got arrested years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, the reason that you can run a dredge in the Wabash,
What's navigable waterway?
yeah, but you weren't allowed to. You were not allowed to.
According to
Well,
the rules,
Let's put it this
I
way.
am.
7 of us were arrested for doing just that. It was called removing or extracting gravels without a permit. And we got cited. We weren't actually arrested per se, we were cited. Okay. And we lawyered up
Yeah.
and beat the charge in court. That was the first thing we did. The second thing we did was we got involved with lobbying. And we put together some stuff, and we went to this committee. It wasn't the senators or Congress people or whatever you call them, state representatives themselves, but they had this committee that they had farmed out the research on it. And Lassiter and a couple other guys, I wasn't involved with that part, I just knew about it. They took them out to go dredging. The guys on the committee that were making the decision on whether this is a bad thing or not. And after that they said, this is diddly. This is not what the regulations were for. Because at first, we were told the only way we would be able to even pan was if we had to get a permit. And the permit was like, plan of operation, input from the public, landowners. It was like if you were going to open up a gravel pit.
Yeah. Okay.
There was no, they call it de minimis exception. in law. De minimis meaning, not very important, or
Right.
the far end.
Mhm.
There wasn't any, so you could do nothing. And then we took it to court, and the judge said, "You mean if I pick up a rock, I can't do that?" No, you have to have a permit. He's like, "You're out of
Yeah.
here."
Yeah.
So he threw that out. Said, "This doesn't deal with that." So they went back to rewrite the regulations because somebody else had gigged them too. Somebody was actually doing gravel,
Mm-hmm.
and so they wanted to prevent the guy from just ripping out gravel with a backhoe.
Well, that I get.
Okay, and of course that's not us.
Right.
We were caught under the regulation. At any rate, so we fought it in court. We took the committee to the a river. They got a chance to do it, and then they rewrote the regulations. And I don't know how Chuck got this through, but they actually put it through up to 5-inch
Yeah.
dredge.
Mm-hmm. Because that's.
Chuck had his 5-inch dredge.
Uh,
I thought, that was outrageous, Chuck. I said,
But-
you're going through 5 inch.
so this must have been. So this was before. This was before. It had to have been before the statutes I've been reading as far as the navigable waterway stuff. Because.
Well, see, under the Navigable Waterways Act, the federal government basically relinquished the waterway to the state.
Right, but if you
Okay,
look
and
at the
then
state's regulations now, though.
Well, they've all been rewritten to accept gold mining.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That had to. What you seems like to me. What you're saying was before that happened, and because what I've read, says basically, if I'm in the navigable waterway, basically all I need is public access to it.
Yeah,
And
that's true now,
yeah,
but not then. And that the damn DNR agent that wrote us up, who didn't like Chuck anyway, Glenda, whatever her name was, she'd already been after him a few times.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't help a whole lot.
Yeah.
But when she arrested us, she said, don't worry about it. It's going to be a $25 fine. And I said, oh, yeah, so if I go out and do it again, now I'm a second-time offender,
mm-hmm.
and I don't even think I should have paid the $25 the first time. So that's why we got the lawyer.
Right.
So we hired a lawyer. We fought that. We went to the committee. They changed the regulations, and the legislature passed a revision to the law and put in all the gold panning stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then the year after that, they invited us out to the state park to demonstrate gold panning. And I was actually allowed to gold pan in the state park.
Wow.
Which is like,
that's unusual.
you can't pick up a
Right.
geode in the state park and
Yeah.
not get thrown in jail. So there we were demonstrating that.
Really?
And it had all these DNR agents coming up to me. Well, what's the new law now? I'm telling the DNR agents
Well,
what the
yeah,
law
yeah,
is.
they are.
I said, this is the way it ought to be.
Yeah.
But it took us, from the time we were arrested till it was all done, it was probably 4 or 5 years. It took a long time.
Well, because you got to go through.
Yeah, and like, until we beat the charges, I just didn't go out prospecting at all. I didn't need any kind of funky circumstances to cloud the issue.
Right. Yeah.
If you're already pending or a charge on something, and the DNR catches you doing something trivial that they might have,
Right.
they would have said, this guy's got the fence open and it charges on him now. We're going to hit him with this too. So I was like Mr. Clean. And I didn't do anything in state. I went to Alaska or something, do some prospecting,
Right.
and got out of Dodge, so to speak. But, we changed that.
Good.
And that's why you can go to the Wabash now.
Yeah.
It was a good civics lesson in that don't expect that people will do the right thing because it's the right thing. If you just try to stay below the radar and hope things will go okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that might work for you for a while, or work for somebody, but it doesn't always work. And sooner or later you get caught, and then you have to say, okay, wait a second, this ought to be a right to do this. This is baloney. And so now I go to the Wabash. I don't have to look to see if there's a DNR truck.
Yeah.
In fact, if there is, I might go say hello. You know, because I'm in the right. I know my
Mhm.
rights.
Mhm.
You just don't expect to have them. You don't fight for them.
Yeah.
You don't get them.
I,
Sad, but it's
yeah, I know.
you know.
I like I said, that was one of the things I was adamant about because was the rules because I knew there were rules, but
Yeah,
they're not. You would think rules would be just about everywhere on every page that you go to, but they're not, and so you don't go look for them. You'd be in trouble quick.
yeah, yeah,
Because I started looking up when I started doing this, and we started coming to the parks. I looked up those rules, and then once I saw those rules, and I saw they had addendums that applied to other things, and I needed to know all of these things because
yeah.
I wanted to go out, and I needed to
Yeah,
know where I could go.
yeah, and
So
there's not going to be a sign that says no
yeah,
prospectors.
yeah, yeah,
They're going to just say, "Who gave you permission? And don't you know better?"
yeah. That's what I was talking to these guys. Some of these guys that were asking, had you ever? I said I've never seen one here. Never seen one here. But when we go to Owen Putnam, I have. The guy, he came and
Yeah,
he asked me for the permit, and I showed him and gave him the permit, and he said, okay, have fun, and
yeah, yeah.
so I said,
Well,
that's why you keep it with you, because you never know when they're just going to show up. You may
yeah,
never see one for years, and then one day you'll come, and
and in defense of the ranger, although I didn't have any particular issues with the ranger that stopped us, arguing with the ranger is
well,
just like arguing with a speed cop
yes.
who's pulled you over for speeding. If you don't think it should have been posted 25, you can't argue with the cop. Its job is to write tickets if you drive over 25.
Right.
If you want the law changed, you got to go talk to somebody else.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the thing there is don't mess with the person who tickets you.
Right.
You talk to the judge and you talk to the people who've made the rules, and then you see about getting them changed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we did. I don't know if anybody from GPA ever gave us any money or not for it, but um, we had like a little campaign online,
Oh, okay.
and all of, I think I had to put in $200 originally. There was like 7 of us. We each put in $200.
Mhm.
They had a campaign to raise money, and we got all the money back because
Oh,
we had
that's
so
good.
many donations.
Yeah, that's good.
So it it wasn't much fun though because being on pins and needles for a couple of years and not knowing the outcome yet
Right.
was not fun.
But you know what? You're having fun now, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It was well. It was worth. It
it was
made.
worth
It
it.
was for me. It was worth it that you did it. So
Well, that's what we were going on. We're thinking, in the future,
yeah.
it'd be one less thing to not have to deal with.
Mhm.
Because what happens is, long time ago, you could do all these different things. Then they said, well, we can't really let people do all that stuff. We got to have some rules, and they bring that in.
Mhm.
And they bring it in, and the environmentalists say you
Right.
can't do this, and the big landowners say you can't do that.
Mhm.
Pretty soon, you're like in this little teeny island here
Right.
of stuff you can do outside. And it's like, it's time to fight. Because they'll just take away
Well, they
little
keep
bits and pieces.
right, and they've been doing it, and they're going to continue to do it as long as they can get away with doing it.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Hopefully, we can get the park people to understand that we really don't hurt anything out here.
oh,
And
I think if you could get them out here, if you could get them out here, it'd probably be a done deal. They wouldn't care.
well, even stuff like someone left a hole here
Mhm.
one time. It looks terrible, but in 2 years, it's gone
Well, if you get a
with
good,
no intervention at all.
if you get a good hard enough rain, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
It won't take much.
So,
Yeah.
in reality, what looks bad for the moment, it's not permanent.
And I get that you might do that up at the entrance where people may be, but if you get back in here, who's coming back here?
Virtually nobody.
Yeah. So, uh,
Yeah.
so unless you're just tearing, I mean, and what I mean tearing, I mean totally destroying things back here, then nobody's ever gonna know you came back here.
Yeah, that's right. I when I first moved to Indiana years ago, I had been in the Air Force, and I prospected for gold up in Alaska where I was stationed.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out there was gold down here. Actually, I didn't even know there was gold here per se, but I got a topo map out, and I had a copy of Gold and Diamonds by Blatchley,
Uh-huh.
which is
Right.
the old
That's the
USPS
first one.
book.
Yep, that's the first book I bought.
Yeah.
As soon as I found
Okay.
out there was gold here.
So I looked at that, got a topo map. Remember, I was prospecting in Alaska.
Right.
So I get out a topo map. I know what I'm looking for, and I know why I'm looking for it, because I had hung around with some prospectors up there.
Mhm.
So I saw these walls on the topo, and I
Right.
said, that's what I need, good steep valley. So I walked back here, parked someplace up there, walked straight down the hill to the creek. There was two guys gold panning. He said, how did you find us? I said, well,
Yeah.
I used a map.
Right.
I said, this is where it should be. And it is.
Yeah.
And that's how I found this place
Wow.
years ago.
Yeah.
And after that, I'd see those two. I panned with them off and on
Mhm.
over the years. And I don't think in 5 years we saw more than two people who, in that period of time, they were both hunters
Okay.
who came down
Mhm.
here. That was the only two people I ever saw, like 5 years.
Yeah.
Now there's more of us prospecting now.
Mhm.
But back then, that's how few people showed up down here.
And no, it was. I was when we pulled in. There was a Martinsville police guy. He pulled in. He happened to see us. You know, we were getting dressed. He was like, "Now, if you find any color, you got to come down and bring it down and share it with me." I said, "Okay, that's not a problem." He said, "There's color back there. You just got to go back there." He's a pretty nice guy. I was just like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, because that just normally doesn't happen. So,
Well, you know, how can they gripe about us? We're a club. We keep ourselves busy by doing something that doesn't hurt anybody and doesn't have. And if nothing else, I say too. If I come down here, whatever, I go to the local store. I buy stuff.
right, yeah.
This is
Mhm.
this is good for the community to have people come down and do this.
Yeah.
This isn't trivial. So.
Yeah, I know Chris had said he had talked with, I guess, the assistant land manager for this place, or maybe for all of the state forests. And I guess the guy agreed to talk with him, to have him come down to see, you know, about running like a gold cube and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that plans out. I think that's something we're going to be working on for a few years. But
You know, if nothing else, if we do just a little bit of that from time to time,
yeah,
I'd say that, you know, even if they can relent on a few things, you know, the idea that people will take advantage of it, my answer to that is you allow hunting, but you don't allow people to come down here with machine guns. You know, they
Right.
could come down here with machine guns because you already allowed them to
Right.
have guns, but you said, you know, we've got to say that people are going to be at least somewhat responsible.
right, yeah,
And
yeah.
so you can't just say that if we give an inch, they'll obviously take a mile, because we never let people go fishing. We say, well, they'll just bring in giant nets and fish everything.
Mhm.
Well, no, it's
Anybody that truly does their sport or whatever it is they do, or not, or mostly not in it to be grotesque, overly grotesque about doing it. They're for the sport of it. I mean, that's the whole point.
yeah.
For the challenge and for the sport of it. It's not to.
Yeah, and if they're afraid that someone is going to come down and actually spend serious money in order to really rip stuff up,
Yeah.
there's not enough gold to pay for that kind of
No.
operation.
Mm-mm.
And if there had been, it would have
It
been
would have
done.
been done already, right?
If this were economically profitable, someone would have done
Well,
it.
there had been a few tries at it, you know, and it didn't work. I mean, it's just wasn't enough gold here for that.
Exactly.
So-
that's why it's still here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good talking
Yep.
to you. I got
All right.
some gold to get.
Yep. Well, as you see, there's some good information from Mark there. He has his own website. I think it's Indiana Prospectors. It's a website, though. It's not a Facebook site. So that's kind of what we do. It's kind of what people kind of what we do at the club. Come out and enjoy and see what's happening. All right, talk to you a little later. Oh, here's somebody else. Do any good, Terry? Yeah, there's a bunch of those out here. I am going to, I don't know if I'm going to head upstream or downstream though.
Where'd you take off to?
Oh, I wanted to, there were some places I looked on a map I wanted to take a look at. So I walked up, it's probably walked up about a half a mile or so up the creek.
There's a couple big pieces of slate down that way a little ways. I think I'm going to pan in behind them.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go upstream a little bit. Not too far, I'm not going to go real far, but I am going to go up.
I ain't going to go walk out of here.
All right, well, I did that with Robert and his sons the last time they were here. You know, they liked, matter of fact, that's how I knew where those geodes were.
Right.
But we came down to the creek and they found more, and he had a buttload of rocks, and so I just told him to throw him in a backpack and carry them up the hill. So, yeah.
All right, well, good luck.
All right, we'll talk to you. Are you going to head back up to the cabin later, right? Okay, we'll see you there.
Nice little one.
Did you?
And then they petered out.
Yeah. There's some places I'm going to try, though. I'm going to come in with a light pack one day because it's a good little walk up there. But there's some pretty good glacial till up that way, so I think I'm going to come in one day and just bring a light pack and head up that way and just do some stuff. So I'm just going to do some digging here.
But yeah, Lou said, you know, you should get at least a gram every 2 hours.
Well, that's what, because I know when I went down there in December or January, she was like, you know, we were talking about what we were getting, and I was like, you know, said I got like, you know, maybe 1.5 grams last year, and she was like, last year? She said, we get that about an hour. I said, okay. So I guess I'll be back then.
Yeah. He told me and Chris gets down there, she'll put us on the gold.
Yes.
Nice thing is, you know, Chris is taking 4-inch. I get to use her 4-inch. It's down there, so I know it's set.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, okay. He's not as far down as I thought.
Yeah, last year we back down here to unload stuff.
Well, we left when it was raining. We get back when it's raining.
Yep.
Hi guys, this is Thomas. This is the second day, Sunday, of the Indiana Goes Prospector outing, our club. I'm headed down to Monroe State Forest again. That's where our outing is. Yesterday, I found a few flakes. There were people finding a few flakes, but we didn't do great. Matter of fact, I didn't even keep mine. It was so small. But it was fun anyway, even though it was a little rainy. Got a little cold at the end of the day. But we're going to see what we do today. It's sunny today. It's still on the cold side. I don't think it's supposed to get above 50, but we'll see how the day goes. I'll let you know as we go. See if these people are awake and ready to go. Morning, morning, morning.
There he is. And we survived the night. You know, it's minus one.
Exactly. Yeah, what happened?
He did not make it through the night. That boy, he upchucked his socks and everything.
Oh, Daddy. Get yourself up to the top of here. There'll be plenty of other times for you to carry stuff right now.
Yeah, that thing has been going up and down, up and down. Oh,
Ginseng, once again,
Line up to midnight and not pay a fee.
Right.
Oh, this is just some video I'm shooting about the camp area here. People were looking at rocks here. It's a pretty area back here. Some of you who've been back here before knows what it looks like. Those that you haven't, we'll just kind of walk around for a little bit. Then we're gonna head down to the creek. Most people have already left. There's a few diehards with me that's gonna stay, and we're gonna hit the creek again. Few, just so we can see what's here. It's a little muddy, but I know I've been back here before, and I know there's kind of like a little waterfall area back here. Should be able to hear it now. And there we are. It's been wore out quite a lot since the last time I was back here. Now I know for all you prospectors thinking, wow, look at this waterfall. I need to be down there with a pan. Well, believe it or not, it's been tried. There's nothing there. But it is a pretty area. Alright, I'll show you a little bit of footage once we get down to the creek and start panning. And I don't know that I may see if anybody's got gold, from yesterday, and see if they can stick it in their pan and show you what we're getting. But it's really fine gold here. Every once in a while you run against a pretty good sized piece, but for the most part it's just fine flour gold here.
a repetitive process. No, that's beyond Deborah's mind capability.
Uh-oh.
Not true.
Uh-oh.
Here's the thing. Last time you taught me this, we were standing in like a horse truck. Where you put fake gold in it.
Fake gold.
I gotta do that. Okay. Now.
Yeah.
I've also been
I got a tube at the check-in.
Yeah, you can pull the big ones out. You don't even need those.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Ooh, it's nice and slick.
Are all these big ones tubes out?
If they're not big and gold, yes, throw them away.
Particularly like
Yeah.
like this? How long? No, really, how long? How do I know I'm not getting rid of that stuff?
That's what I told her. If it's not big and gold, then throw it away. Prospectors at the creek. Yeah. Say hi.
Here's your bucket, wet foot.
Way over there?
Yeah, I can get monkey wet.
Oh, come on.
Hope this comes out. I'm just kind of winging it. I'm panning this stuff. It's got a lot of clay in it. So I'm giving it a good rinse. Make sure all the clay is out. It's broken up. So far I haven't found a whole lot. There's been, I don't know, half a dozen specks, fly poop. It is really fine gold. It's really deep. And I'm probably down about 1.5 feet digging. So it's not bad, but the weather today is great compared to yesterday, as far as I'm concerned. It's a little windy, but it's a little on the cool side, but it's not rainy and cold. So all in all, a good day. Most all the other people have left. I don't know if Sue's left. They were down a little further down the creek. I'm probably the last diehard here. I probably won't be here much longer, another probably about an hour. Then I'm gonna head home myself and kind of get this video set up and get it posted. I'll probably show you what I got. Like I said, it's not much, but it'll at least I got something, so I don't complain, and I'm outdoors and it's a great day, so all in all, everything's good. Okay, I just finished up at the creek. I'm getting ready to head home. I will go ahead and put my results in a pan, and I'll show you what I got. It's not very much, but hey, I'm outdoors again, and it's a nice day.